Hello there, sports gamers. Welcome back into the channel. I'm Brandon Satterwhite. The MLB season is officially over, and sadly, my Yankees did not bring home championship number 28. But now it's time to look ahead to the holiday season, and I'm already getting started on one of my wish lists. My wish list for the franchise mode in MLB The Show 25. Now, I know we're several months away from the release of MLB The Show 25. MLB The Show usually comes out in like mid to late March, early April, but I figured why not just go ahead and, talk about the things that I would like to see added to the mode. There are things I've been wanting added to the mode for several years now, so might as well just, get them together in one video and talk about them a little bit. And who knows, maybe this gives the devs a little bit of time to maybe even put some of these in the actual game. You never know. Now, first, I would like to say that if you watch any of the content that I produce here on SGO, and if you watch any of our streams over on our SGO Twitch channel, you know that I am a huge fan of MLB The Show franchise mode. However, the mode can get pretty bland, and there's not a whole lot of randomness to the mode, and that's why when I do stream franchise mode, I use this random event generator that I created for the mode like 3 or 4 years ago, and I add to where it gives you like attribute boosts and tells you different ways to play your game, and gives you like suspensions or injuries or players asking for trades and stuff like that. So I've had to, create my own way to add randomness and, storylines into the mode. But hopefully that's something that we could see, added into the mode for real going forward. And I want to talk about my ideas for how that could be added into the mode. So strap yourselves in, folks. This is going to be a long one. Let's get into it.
Sports Gamers Online is the #1 source for the sports gamer.
So the #1 thing on my wish list, and probably on everyone's wish list for franchise mode in MLB The Show 25, say it with me, folks, online franchise. This is a feature that was taken out of the game prior to the launch of MLB The Show 18, and for some reason still has not been added back in. We're going on 7 years since the feature was removed, and the fact that it is still not back is unacceptable and kind of embarrassing for this game. I mean, series like Madden have had online franchises since 2008. And we're over half a decade without it on the most powerful consoles ever. I mean, we talk about how powerful the PS5 is all the time, and yet a Sony-owned studio can't figure out how to get online franchise working? It doesn't make sense to me. People have been begging for it to come back ever since it was removed. How awesome would it be to actually play a franchise with your friends where you're playing the games or, doing the moments in it? You're scouting, you're drafting, you're making trades, free agency, fantasy drafts would be a lot of fun with my friends. I just want the ability to play franchise mode with my friends online with crossplay. That's a big thing since, MLB The Show is multi-platform now, needs to have crossplay as well. But that is absolutely #1 top priority that I would want to see added back into the mode this year. #2 on my list, and it's also the biggest thing I have been harping about with MLB The Show franchise mode, and that is an overhaul to the progression and regression systems in franchise mode. Now, regression is a thing that I have been really upset about for a while with MLB The Show, and I feel like a lot of people have, because it feels like players, as they age, they'll perform well, but they'll still have their attributes hit like crazy. Like, I'll have guys hit, 30 home runs and put up, 2 or 3 WAR in a season, but they'll still lose like 7, 8, 9 overall points in a season. And it's like, it's coded into the game that, oh, this player has hit, a certain age, or they've hit a certain service time. So, we gotta drop their overall like crazy, even though they're still performing well. And it makes no sense. It breaks immersion that a player would still be performing at such a high level and would see such drastic regression. And then on the opposite side for progression, I feel like progression is way too slow, especially with top tier prospects. I feel like they advance at such a slow pace. And that's why when I created this random event generator, the biggest part of it was attribute upgrades. You would get these random attribute upgrades every week to add to different players, and that was something I really liked about using this. It made it a lot of fun, and it let me streamline the progression of certain players in my farm system. So I think the biggest thing in terms of progression, I think there are 3 things that you could really do to help make progression more fun and more immersive for players. And the first thing is adding development traits. Now, this is something we've seen in other games like Madden, College Football 25 has dev traits. So having, seeing, a superstar or a normal dev trait would make it so much easier to tell how fast a player is going to develop. Right now, all we have is their potential, which, an A potential player you would think would progress faster than a B potential player, but it feels like that doesn't always happen. The potential is just sort of, okay, this is their ceiling, but they a lot of times don't really always reach that ceiling. Sometimes things stall out. Sometimes they don't perform as well as they're supposed to. And I think having a development trait would make it a lot more clear to players what to expect and how quickly you can expect prospects to be MLB ready. It would also make drafting a lot more fun because, especially in Madden, when you draft a superstar or a superstar X Factor player in that game, it's a big moment. You're excited. You're like, yeah, I got the guy. I got, the diamond in the rough, or, I got the top pick. I got the guy I was wanting. This guy's going to be a cornerstone for my franchise going into the future. And I think that would add a lot more fun to drafting in MLB The Show. I like the changes that they've made with drafting and scouting over the last couple of years, and I think that would just add on to it even more. The next thing I would want to add is another thing I like that Madden does is they have their focus players, so they get extra XP every week. I think you should have a certain number of focus prospects that you can put in your farm system. They could be, single A, double A, triple A, whatever, and you slot these players in and they gain bonus XP every week, or they develop a little bit faster. And maybe, based on how good your team is or how good your farm manager is, you get more slots or something like that. I would love to see that, so I could, if I'm the Yankees, I can slot in Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez and stuff like that to streamline their progression and get them to the big leagues faster, because that's what you want to do, especially if you have, a top 10 prospect. You're going to focus on him, all your resources you can on him, getting him to the big leagues as quickly as possible. The third thing I would add to help with prospect progression is progression moments. So these would be moments that when you're simulating throughout a season, it would pop up just like the other moments that happen when you're simulating, and would pop up and say, your top prospect has a 9-game hitting streak going. If you get it to 10 games, you get like a +5 to contact both ways, a permanent attribute boost to contact both ways, or they can increase their dev trait or something like that. Add in these moments that actually give you some incentive to hop into minor league games instead of just hopping into your big league games as well. I think that would be a great addition, and again, would be another way to sort of streamline the progression of prospects and get them to MLB faster. Next up on my list of things that I want to see changed in franchise mode is I want to see this training feature changed, because this thing has been basically untouched for as long as I can remember. It's been this basic set your player to a certain drill and that trains a certain attribute, and it never really feels necessary to go in and change this. I always leave it on auto. I never mess with it. I don't ever touch it. I don't know anybody that does. I've never seen anybody go in and actually mess with this, because it doesn't feel like it ever actually changes anything. You can't tell, oh, this is definitely increasing CJ Abrams' arm strength and arm accuracy. There's no visual way of knowing how much this is going to affect his attributes. So I would want to see this completely changed. Give me a new method of determining where my big leaguers and where my prospects are developing, what attributes they are working on improving, and make it so that I know without a shadow of a doubt that doing this and putting my time into setting this is going to make a difference, and it's going to change how the players develop. Next up on my list is custom draft classes. This is another feature that other sports games have had for a long time now. NBA 2K and Madden have had custom draft classes in their games for so long, and MLB The Show has a file sharing feature. You can share, logos, stadiums, rosters, all these things. Why not let us create custom draft classes? I think that would be a great addition, and it's something that other games have been doing for so long that it's kind of weird that MLB The Show still doesn't have it. And if you are going to add custom draft classes, then the next thing on my list is bring back year-to-year saves and let custom draft classes and custom rosters be one of the things that gets carried over from year to year. Year-to-year saves was something that was taken out, I believe, after MLB The Show 20, and I know some great roster creators that, because of that, no longer create custom rosters in MLB The Show because they say it's not worth the time if it's just going to all be wiped away at the end of the year. I understand that other sports games do that, but that was one feature that really set MLB The Show apart for so long, was year-to-year saves, not having to completely start over in your franchise or in your road to the show even every single year. And, you had great content creators that created 100% custom rosters. These were 100% unique players, unique stats, unique storylines that they created from scratch, and they just got wiped away. And, those players have moved on to doing other things. They're not in the community anymore, and that's sad. I think year-to-year saves, if they could bring that back, I know that there's probably some issues with doing that, but if they could somehow bring that back, I think that would be a great addition to the game and a great feature for the community. Next up is, I would like to see improved GM logic. Now, there's a couple of things where I feel like GM logic could be improved, and I'm taking a little bit from NBA 2K here when I say this. I would like to see a screen where you could look at all of the teams, and as well as your own team, and see what their strategy is for building their team at the moment, and you could see yours and change it. And I think you would have like rebuilding teams, sellers, buyers, contending teams, and this would come in big, especially around like the trade deadline, because with the trade deadline we always hear who's buying, who's selling, and all that. And I think that could be a big feature that makes the trade deadline a lot more exciting in franchise mode. And also it would just sort of dictate the logic for how teams are run, because a lot of times the GM logic for CPU teams in MLB The Show is really, really dumb. Like, they make dumb moves, they make dumb trades, they make dumb signings that just don't make any sense. They don't re-sign players that they should re-sign. Another area where I'd like to see GM logic improve is with lineup generation. The lineups that we see MLB The Show generate for CPU teams is really bad. It's, based on really old logic. You can tell the way that modern MLB teams structure their lineup has changed over the last 10 years with the use of analytics and such. You're not always putting your best hitter third or fourth. Most teams now put their best hitter second in their lineup, and you're really trying to, stagger lefty righty nowadays. And you don't see that hardly at all in MLB The Show when CPU teams create their lineup. So GM logic and lineup logic needs to be fixed. And that brings me to trade logic. And honestly, I think the trade system in general just needs to be completely ripped out and redone. We hear every year since I've been covering this game for SGO, since MLB The Show 22, we've heard them say, oh, we're improving trade logic, we're fixing trade logic, it's going to be so much better. And then every year we get the game and there's just these boneheaded trades going on. I'll put a few up here on the screen. There were a bunch for Bobby Witt when the game launched. Like, he got traded all the time in year 1 or 2. MLB The Show 22, Jason Dominguez was always getting traded. The trade logic needs to be ripped out. Give us more than 3 player slots. Give us the ability to do 3 team trades, because that's something that happens all the time. And finally, get the logic right. Get it to where, you're actually doing something that makes sense. If you're trading a player like a Juan Soto, it's because his contract's almost up and you don't want to lose him for nothing, but you're still going to demand a good bit for him. So trade logic, I know they've been working on it. They've been trying. It's time to finally get it right. Another thing I want to see added, this is a bit of a smaller thing. It's kind of more of a quality of life feature. I want to see more stats added into the player card. Now, there's a lot already here, your basic hits, runs, homers, average, on base, slugging, OPS. We even have like fielding percentage. We have WAR, strikeout percentage. Those are all good. I would like to see more added in. I want to see weighted runs created plus, OPS plus, hard hit rate. What are some other? I had a bunch listed off here. Defensive runs saved, defensive WAR, batting average on balls in play, average exit velocity, win percentage added. I'd love to see all of those added in. I'm a huge stat head. I love looking at Baseball Reference, just going through players' stats and looking at them. And I think it would add another layer to team building, give you more to look at, more to consider when trying to decide which players to sign in free agency. Just a couple last things here on my list. A new staff system. The staff menu has been basically the same for just as long as the training system has been, it feels like. It's hard to tell if, hiring a good coach or hiring a bad coach actually, changes anything. It doesn't really feel like it a lot of the time. International free agency would be awesome to have. International free agency, especially right now, is huge, with guys like Yamamoto, Ohtani, of course, is the face of baseball. Imanaga comes over and was great for the Cubs this year. So I'd love to see international free agency expanded upon. Deferred contracts, low on my priority list, but it would be kind of cool to see that, sort of like the Dodgers did with Ohtani. So it'd be cool to see that. But yeah, that's my list, guys. Those are the list of the things that I want to see added in to MLB The Show franchise mode. Of course, I know that not all of these can be added in a single year. I listed off a lot of stuff, a lot of really big things. I think if maybe one or two of those big things, and then maybe some of the quality of life things I mentioned at the end be added, I think MLB The Show could be in a very good place franchise mode wise. I loved the custom game entry settings that they added last year. I said in our review that it was one of the best additions that any sports game has made to franchise mode that I've seen in years. Absolutely loved it. It kept me playing franchise mode a ton this year. So I hope that they can just keep adding things to it. And I think that franchise mode will be going in a very good direction for the series going forward. But let me know down in the comments, what do you think? What are things you want to see added? Do you agree with what I listed, or that you have ideas of your own that you'd like to see implemented? Let me know down in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave it a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel here, and also follow us over on Twitch. And for all your sports gaming news and updates, stay tuned to Sports Gamers Online. I'm Brandon Satterwhite with SGO. Thank you for watching.